Let's start.
Hello, sports fans.
Welcome to Fan Stream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right. A hearty Tuesday good morning to you. Didn't think I was going to make it, did you? That was right on time. Went over to Bucs practice this morning. They came out a little late, threw off my timing. But I got here just as the open started. Got everything rolled up. Pretty good, huh?
These last minute calls are getting closer and closer. And today it's like 11:50. It was 9:58 literally, and I'm looking around like,
is he gonna make it?
Is he gonna make it? Am I gonna have to go in solo to start?
There you go. Right, you could do that. No problem at all. All right, welcome into the JP Peterson Show. We thank you for joining us each and every morning. Fresh in from Bucs camp. Just quite frankly, not a whole lot going on there. They were doing stretching and helmets off, getting ready to jump on a plane and go to Nashville. And they're in the indoor facility, despite it being one of the most beautiful mornings we've had. How about this weather the last couple of days, huh?
I'm enjoying it. It's not blazing hot at all. And why were they inside?
I think it's dehydration. You get on a plane, you get dehydrated, even though it's an hour flight. So it's just yesterday they were out in the heat of the day at 1:15. So I think they probably just said, we'll go inside, even though it was very nice this morning. Obviously, you all know that. When you went out and walked the dog, you were like, what is this? Is it football weather? Is it football weather? I think we had a record low in Jacksonville and all over the state yesterday. It's that global warming. Watch out. Watch out. All right. So I know a lot of you stayed up and watched the Rays game last night. That was some good Rays baseball. That was dramatic stuff. That was something you could get into. That was something you could watch. It wasn't the regular boring Rays game that we've been accustomed to for the past few months. That was, even though there weren't a lot of runs scored, it was a compelling pitching matchup, a dramatic game, and the Rays tack on late, and Yarbrough does his thing. It was a nice win. Nice win.
Oh, and like I said yesterday, when you're playing the Yankees and Yankees, it's going to be a buzz. And you have like the intensity or the tenseness rather of the Yankee fans right now, who, like I said, they're ready to jump off the cliff. And look at the players last night.
What is it? Lost what? 10 of 13
this
now?
Is 10 of 12 now, actually.
10 of 12.
I believe since the All-Star break. And I mean, you look at the players, the frustration they were showing yesterday. Rizzo
lost his mind.
Rizzo lost his mind in the dugout. Maybe, I don't know if he was going to injure his oblique or something, doing all that smashing.
But by the way, a good call by the umpire.
A great call by the umpire.
Clearly leaned into the pitch from Yarbrough when he's throwing, 69-mile-an-hour curveballs. It's like, I'll take one off the thigh. That's not a big deal. But you credit the umpire. He totally nailed that one. And that was absolutely the right call, 100%. And I credit him for having the courage to do so in Yankee Stadium. Good for you. It was the right call.
Yeah. Great night for Rays baseball. It's kind of a throwback Rays game, in my opinion. They played great defense.
Yep.
They had timely hitting, and then the pitching. For the second day in a row, the pitching was just fantastic. And we talked about it yesterday with Drew Rasmussen going that long that he did in that outing, almost perfect. You give yourself a chance to use your entire bullpen yesterday, and really, they didn't have to.
No,
because Ryan Yarbrough was fantastic.
Yeah, the opener was good, and that's how Yarbrough has been really, really good with the opener. So, and we were just talking about that. Our friend Neil Solantz from the pregame show, pre and post game show. I tweeted out something about that's Yarbrough's thing. He's most comfortable and most effective as using an opener in front of him. And he came back and said, well, they want to do that all the time, but they just haven't had relief pitchers available since Rasmussen went, 8 1/3. The whole bullpen was available and they could do it. But as I recall, last year, most of the time he was just starting the game, was he not?
Yeah, that's the way I recall it.
Yeah. So obviously Neil follows it a lot closer than I do, but to me it seems like this is always the best way to utilize Yarbrough. And he came in and did exactly what he's been doing a lot lately.
And sending him down to AAA seemed like it did wonders. I don't know if it woke him up or what it did, but since he's been back to AAA, he's proven that he can be that fifth guy here behind the opener in this rotation. And like I said yesterday, they need it because you got two guys in your rotation, McClanahan and Kluber, who are kind of working through things. You need all the pitching you can get at this moment. And Yarbrough's been a pleasant surprise. And last night, I mean, was he intentionally trying not to throw hard last night? I mean, he doesn't throw hard to begin with, but he was throwing extra slow yesterday. And those Yankee hitters just no answer for it.
I think that may have been kind of an adjustment that he worked on at AAA. I mean, it's just it's totally counterintuitive.
Yeah,
don't throw as hard as you can.
Here's one. I was going to point this out real quick. When he faced Aaron Judge last night, I think he might have faced him 2 times, if I'm correct. He didn't throw a single pitch over 84 miles an hour to Aaron Judge.
Yeah. I mean, you think about these guys these days get a steady diet of 95. I mean, every time they step up to the plate, almost everybody in this league can throw mid to upper 90s. Yeah. And when you get a guy that's throwing 84, topping out at 89, but mostly staying in the 70s and 80s, you're going to be effective in this league. It just I'm trying to think of the lefty that did it for years and years. I mean, I go back to Frank Tanana.
I thought of Jamie Moyer.
Jamie Moyer is a guy. All these crafty lefties that pitch it just these sub levels, and with a lot of movement though. He can get a lot of spin and a lot of movement on that ball, and it's just something they're not used to seeing. Especially when the opener is throwing something different, the guys coming after him are throwing something different. Like he himself is the personification of a changeup. He is a changeup, and it's what he is. And when these other teams get a load of it, it's hard to hit. It's hard to adjust to. And once they do adjust to it, maybe once or twice through the order, see ya, he's out. That's good. We're good. We're done. Thank you. Here comes the bullpen.
Yeah, it's such a smart strategy if you're the Rays and you're Ryan Yarbrough, because you have a Yankee lineup that I believe leads the Major League Baseball in home runs this year, and they've been scuffling hard, and that's the way they're going to beat you is by the long ball.
And they're fastball hitters.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, the long ball's not there. They're seeing a lot more off speed. And when you have a guy like Ryan Yarbrough, that was a perfect storm for the Rays last night against that lineup. I mean, they just had no chance.
A lot of weak contact. And when they loaded the bases there with 1 out, he gets that weak comebacker to the mound, to Mejia. They get the double play. Huge play.
First 12 outs, I think he had 6 strikeouts, 6 ground outs.
Yeah.
And that's Ryan Yarbrough's MO right there.
Like you're not even getting the ball into the outfield.
No.
So big win for the Rays. I think this is something we talked about yesterday. We look at this remaining schedule and we go, wow, it's the toughest schedule in baseball from a win-loss opponent perspective. But that's kind of a good thing for the Rays because say what you want about this team, the one thing they're consistently good at is beating good teams. When they play the Tigers of the world, the old Orioles, I mean, the Orioles, they dominated last year, but some of these other teams that are kind of middling, they tend to not be at their best for whatever reason. But when they're playing the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, you're going to get their cleanest game. And you said it, great defense last night. Taylor Walls turned that double play on Judge late in the game.
Yeah, I was going to point out Taylor Walls today.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to back off on some of my criticism of him right now because I know he's not going to ever hit I don't even know if he's ever really going to hit 230 in this league. I don't even know if that's even possible. But to be honest, his defense lately
has been
exceptional. Yeah. I mean, a vacuum at shortstop to the point where when Wander Franco gets here, I don't know if I take Taylor Walls. I know it's hard to say that, but I don't know if I take Taylor Walls out of the lineup because of his defense. I don't know if I do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, obviously Franco's got to play, but you can,
he's going to play, but I mean, you can always plug him at DH. You can always plug Yandy at DH, move Wander to third.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong.
Exactly.
I mean, his glove is saving them runs right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you take that out of the lineup regardless. And he's starting to hit a little bit better recently.
I mean, it's just, we got to, I think we've had a lot of guys come up and be very successful early on in their careers, but that's just not how baseball works.
Yeah.
It usually takes a year and a half for a guy to really show what he can do at the major league level. But he's got to be, competent enough to be able to stay in the lineup and contribute some of the time. But we haven't seen the best of the most consistent, best defense of Taylor Walls. We've seen flashes of it, but then we see, an occasional knucklehead error that seems to cost the team. We haven't seen a whole lot of that.
I can't even tell you the last time we had an error.
So really good. And then offensively last night, Paredes gets a big knock to get him that 1-0 lead. But adding on in the ninth was exactly what they needed to do. Siri came up and got a big base hit, and then Yandy Diaz followed with 2 RBIs, and that was pretty much it away for the Rays.
Yeah, great. Ninth inning. The Rays are the most dangerous ninth inning team in the league, I think, at this point. It's with 2 outs, by the way. With 2 outs. I mean, they have to be up to the near league, but here was the Yandy Diaz hit off Lou Trevino.
Ground ball, base hit into right. That's going to get Walls home. Siri's going to come to the plate. He is safe. Over to third, Mejia. Big base hit by Yandy Diaz, and the Rays make it a run ball game.
That was it. That was that closed the door right there. And Ryan Thompson came in, did a nice job.
Fantastic.
I did a great job with the bullpen yesterday. That was an overall great Rays team win. Good defense, great pitching, some timely offense, and you get a big 4-0 win. But third time the Yankees have been shut out since the All-Star break. Third or fourth time.
If I'm correct, this is the first time the Rays have shut them out since 2013 in Yankee Stadium. Really? So we're going back almost a decade there.
That's
last night.
Again, hell of a job by Yarbrough with that short porch in right field. Having a lefty that can start is not a bad thing.
By the way, I wanted to play this real quick because this was Jose Siri was trending this morning, and I said, why is Jose Siri trending? And it might have something to do with a good friend of the show, Doug Wechter.
Really?
Listen to this audio yesterday as Jose Siri was coming up to the plate.
Doug doing the game, of course.
And tell me what you observe or listen here.
The first, Joy up to second. Jose Siri is going to be the hitter.
Got to have your phone audio off when Jose Siri.
Phone audio off, and there's suspicion that it has to be Doug Wechter's phone going off there in the booth. But
I don't know if Doug has done play-by-play or done the analysis in the booth since we've had Siri up, and you got to make sure that your phone is off if you have Siri, because when you say it, it's going to pop up.
Yeah, and it's gone pretty viral here. Bleach Report has it. John Boy, Jared Carabas, Bart, everybody's talking about it. I was like, why is Jose Siri trending this morning?
Well, because if you turn the volume off on your phone, you're good. Because I just did. I made sure mine's off. Because that's what. And if you have your phone and you're sitting there watching the game and that comes over, that's what you're going to get.
I didn't even hear it in real time, though.
Yeah,
I did not hear that in real time. But
yeah.
Twitter never misses that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's listen to Kevin Cash last night with the post-game interview, and very, very complimentary of the pitching and the entire team effort by the Rays.
I think just the intent, the strike throwing. Look, you're right. It's not easy to do that here, especially against that lineup. It's as talented a lineup you're going to see in baseball. And our guys did a good job of executing a game plan. Yarbs was outstanding. I mean, Beaker set the tone. Yarbs was outstanding. Thompson comes in and gets some big outs there in the middle. It lined up really well. I'm glad that Jason kind of settled in after that first pitch walk.
That bottom of the fourth you mentioned with Thompson and Mejia was crucial in so many of those plays, cutting down Andujar and then the double play to end the inning. How impressive was that?
That really impressive, because the game could have gone sideways pretty quick right there. We didn't. Yarbs prides himself on being such a good athlete on the mound. I think he doesn't really look that way on the mound, but he made a really nice recovery play on the comebacker for the 1-2-3 double play. Yeah, and for a guy that probably didn't have that many reps against Garrett Cole, or the Garrett Cole in a Yankee uniform, but telling David, let's pull the ball a little bit more. He's hit a couple of really deep balls to center. So, but no, he's had really good at-bats.
You stuck with Thompson there to start the eighth, and then first guy gets on, let him face Judge, thinking the double play ball. Or
I mean, I think Thompson is as good as suited to get a ball on the ground as any reliever we have down there.
Great call.
Stuff was coming out really well. I mean, Glaber did a nice job of finding the barrel and getting some space in the outfield, but there's a lot of confidence with Thompson in that situation.
Just come back to Mejia, the bunt play to pounce out as quickly as he did and cut the runner down.
Yeah, very heads-up play. Heads-up by Yandy, too. I mean, we're not generally going after that, trying to get the play at third, but when the ball stays inside that circle right there, there's a chance.
You touched on a pregame, but just the job Mejia is doing with all your pitchers this season, kind of seeing him take steps forward there?
Without a doubt. He's done a tremendous job. The attention to detail, he's focused inning by inning, talking to Kyle, talking to the pitchers. They meet every outing before the game and go over a game plan, and I think everybody's really pleased with the way he's sticking to it. I mean, Jose Siri's big base hit right there, and then Yandy not trying to do too much, adding to make it from 2 to 4, but Jose's at bat. That's a big at bat against Trevino. Goes down and gets a breaking ball, and Quinn comes around to score.
Yeah, that was Cash pushed all the right buttons last night. He was excellent with his pitching changes, and I was thinking the same thing about Ryan Thompson. Does he come back out? Do you stay with him with Judge? And he threw his first two pitches were just absolutely perfection. Sliders on the inside corner, and then he throws a third one that caught the outside corner right at the knees that could have been called a strike. And I'm like, oh, that's going to come back and haunt us. And then he gets the double play ball. I'm like, that's some justice right there. Thank you, umpire, for not calling that. We got 2 outs instead of 1. So thank you very much for that. Sometimes it works out for you when they blow the call. But defensively, they were good. And I forgot about Peralta's triple that was kind of misplayed in center field there. But
that was a broken Yankees moment, as I called it.
Yeah.
Real quick on Ryan Thompson before we move on to, here. How about he's only allowed one run since June 16th. Ryan Thompson. 1 run, and that's spanning 20 appearances for Ryan Thompson. And remember, before that, he couldn't hit the strike zone.
Right.
Remember?
Yeah.
I mean, again, another guy that's just come around as this season's come on and deadly in the back end of the bullpen there.
And Fairbanks looks tremendous.
Yes,
and he
Adam,
looks really
good.
And Adam has been.
I said yesterday, is Jason Adam my favorite acquisition that the Rays have made in the bullpen like in the last decade? He's up there.
Yeah.
I mean, his ERA is almost under 1.
Yeah. And again, where did he come from?
The Cub. He was just an injured Cub.
Yeah.
He was an injured Cub.
Yeah.
And also too, I was looking at the standings this morning, and a 3-game win streak does wonders for you. And the Rays are now tied with the Blue Jays for that second wild card spot.
Yeah, Blue Jays lost
after
last
they
night,
lost to Baltimore. Now the Rays are half game back of the Mariners. And I started thinking, we've seen crazier things in baseball.
Yeah.
The Yankees, based on what I'm watching right now, are
don't say it.
Okay,
Come on,
I'm just saying.
Don't say it.
Is 10 games is it too much? Is it out of the realm? 10 games, and you think about it, it's not like it's like 20 like it used to be. It's 10. 10's, we can go back a decade ago. The Rays had to make up an 11 game.
Yeah,
so
they did that in like a month. Yeah.
It's been done before. The Yankees just look like they can't get out of their own way right now. There's so much negativity there.
That won't last.
I don't know.
That won't last.
I don't know.
No, they're too good a baseball team.
I don't know.
They're all slumping right now.
The Rays are getting healthier. Let's see what happens these next 2 games. If the Rays go out and make a statement, sweep the Yankees.
I'm trying to remember what exactly the Yankees did at the deadline, because they've not been good since.
They brought in Frankie Montas.
Right.
They brought
I remember his first start was not that great.
Not great. They brought in Lou Trevino, who we saw last night. The Rays had no problem with him. Trying to think of did they have any in the Andrew Benintendi they brought in?
Right.
And I don't think he's been great since he's gotten to Yankee Stadium either.
No.
They traded away Joey Gallo, who all of a sudden has revived his career in 2 weeks in Los Angeles.
That's
Go
what
figure.
A lot of people are like, we should have got rid of Gallo. I'm like, really?
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah, come on now. Come on now.
I think that's the extent of what the Yankees did, though, right there.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, it has not been good, and Giancarlo Stanton being out, does that can it really affect their lineup that much with all the great hitters they have? And you know who else went down was Carpenter. Carpenter was carrying their ass.
Yeah, he was. And I don't know if Carpenter's going to come back and be the same that he was. It just seemed like he caught the streak of his career
right
while he was healthy. And I don't know if he's going to be that anymore. So the Matt Carpenter little era might be over already. So that's what I'm saying, though. If the Rays go out and make a statement and win this game tonight, and they win the sweep, and I know I'm looking ahead, and I know it probably won't happen, but let's just say they make a statement and get a sweep, and the Rays are getting healthier this week, we have a chance to see not only Margot, but Wander Franco, and Harold Ramirez back this weekend. You want to talk about making a statement with 45 games to go or whatever it is? I don't think it's out of the realm.
That's a lot to ask.
It's a lot to ask, but at least can we make it?
I can say this though: if they sweep them, then they got a chance because
yes,
they're all worth
and
2.
Put some pressure on the Yankees. The Yankees had a 20-game lead the entire season and have no pressure to deal with. Put some pressure on them. Let's see how they play.
I was just looking at since Mejia's come back, it seems like the Rays have played some better baseball.
Yes, they have.
He only played one of the games in Milwaukee, so I think they've won. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're 1-2, 2-1. I think they're 5-1 since he came back. Is that much of and played in the games he played? It makes a huge difference.
And we
just talked about his defense. He started, he's hitting, and the defense has always been the issue with him. And his defense has been really, really good.
Yeah, to the point where you're not seeing Christian Bethancourt as much anymore back there. We saw Bethancourt the other night playing first base because they don't want to move Frankie out of there. Because if Frankie Mejia could do his job defensively, go look at the hitting metrics. He's a top 3 hitter in this lineup at the moment. He has to hit in the meteor order every single night. We said that at the beginning of the year, remember, when he was carrying the Rays to a couple wins early on, we were like, why is this guy not in the lineup more often when they had Zunino in there? So Frankie Mejia not only is the catcher of today, he's the catcher of tomorrow, he's the catcher of the future. He's the guy. He's the guy, as long as he can figure out his defense.
Yeah, I mean, I would like them to, obviously go out and get somebody in the offseason.
Somebody will be in here, but
that's got to be a number one
this
priority.
This is an audition for Frankie Mejia, of course.
It really is.
And his defense continues the way it is. I mean, if you're the Rays, it's a good situation to have.
Well, at least we'll get something out of that Blake Snell trade.
Hey, Xavier Edwards is the
all right.
The slapdick prospect.
We're waiting.
He's the cream of that trade.
And Patino? No,
I'm not a Patino guy. I'm off the Patino bandwagon.
Yeah,
at the moment.
he just even when he's been healthy, he just doesn't seem to be very special. It just you look at the stuff, it's it's hard and straight, but the breaking stuff is not special. He doesn't seem to have command, and he's still young and he can grow into something, obviously, and need to work on a few things. If there's anybody that can get him right, it's the Rays, but so far we haven't seen it. But a huge win for them. And we'll hit a little bit more Rays later on in the show. All right, transitioning over to the Bucs. I was out of practice this morning. They weren't doing a whole hell of a lot. Got out a little bit late. They went inside. Carl Nassib obviously is the big news. The Bucs signing him. Have you seen the numbers on his contract yet?
I have not, but I'm going to imagine it's probably a 1 year, maybe $2 million.
Yeah,
incentives type kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this yesterday. I was, if they were going to bring somebody in, I wanted it to be Carl Nassib. But I just thought with Nelson and Cam Gill, that they would have, enough there. But they felt they needed another experienced pass rusher.
Because Cam Gill has the Liz Frank injury.
Yeah.
In his foot.
Yeah.
And we don't. Yesterday he was out at practice, I believe, with a boot on and a scooter.
They must think it's a little bit more.
Yeah. So I mean, those things are kind of tricky to come back from, especially timely. I doubt he'll be back for the beginning of the season. So. You look at that position, then it's
what a great opportunity to get a player like that's been good in this defense.
This is the worst kept secret, honestly. I mean, everybody's been talking about Carl Nassib, I feel like, since March or April of coming back to Tampa Bay, and they do it now. The fact that he's still on the market, I mean, I know he didn't do great when he went to Las Vegas, but the 2 years he was with the Bucs,
he was fantastic.
Sneaky good years.
Fantastic.
Sneaky good years.
Really good.
And 12 and a half of his 22 career sacks right here in Tampa Bay. The year that Shaq Barrett had 19 and a half sacks and 8, who's on the opposite side of him? Carl Nassib.
Yeah.
Carl Nassib had almost 7 sacks that year. And like Jason Pierre-Paul, and probably better than Jason Pierre-Paul now because he's 4 years younger, a really good run stopper from the defensive end position as well. And that's a key thing for him coming in here.
Well, he wasn't here today. They did say that he's going to be in Nashville, so he will take part in the joint practices that start tomorrow. So they just need to get him here and get the contract signed, and I believe he's going to be traveling with the team to Nashville.
Yeah, and then also a great dude. You can never have too many of those in your dressing room. Remember the mathematician? I'm gonna have to go back and watch the Hard Knocks episode. Remember the whole math thing that he did?
Oh yeah,
He's the big math dude and all that.
Oh, let's find that thing on YouTube.
Yeah,
and
I think
retweet
Greg.
that.
Actually, I think Greg might have already referred it out.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
Of course.
All things Buccaneers. He's always going to come up with something like that. But I'm going to be really interested to see these joint practices. I know Scott Reynolds is going up there. Dan Lucas is going up for News Channel 8, so we'll get him on the show as well. Again, these are just great opportunities. They're more important, frankly, than the games themselves, because this is where you're going to see the number ones. But the Bucs aren't traveling with. I mean, the wide receivers still aren't practicing. The Godwin was out there running today, but I don't think he's going to take part in any team drills yet. I think they're going to hold him out till the beginning of the season. Maybe play him a little bit in the third preseason game. I don't know.
Oh no way. You talking about Godwin?
Yeah.
No way.
No way.
No way.
I don't know. I mean, I think he might want to get out there and take a couple of live snaps.
I'm sure he
at
does.
Some point. I don't think he wants his first live snap to be in a real game.
I think whatever plans the Bucs might have had for him, I think the Ryan Jensen injury, the scare,
spooked everybody.
I think that has spooked so much of it to where you're not seeing Mike Evans go back out there, even though I'm sure he's fine. Probably, I'm sure Russell Gage is fine, but you just don't want to chance it at this point. You just don't.
And we had a chance. We were all sitting around this morning in the media room waiting to go in. So of course I brought up Brady, and I'm like, I'm frankly, we're 4 days into the Brady sabbatical, and 4 or 5 days in, and we haven't heard a peep. And I'll I was on Davis Island yesterday, so
oh my goodness,
we were shopping for homes.
I know.
You might want to just drive by.
This is your live golf personality.
You might just want to drive by, down Riviera and see, if there's a moving van or just, somebody's out walking the dog.
No,
I mean, I'm
get
not
it.
surveilling the home.
Listen, I get
but
it.
I was there. I took Tally to the Davis Island dog park like we're known to do, and we just kind of detoured around to look at some. My daughter was with me, and her friend lives on the same street, so we just went by to see if they were home. And there's Tom's house. Oh, I just want to. Okay, no, anything going on there? Didn't stop. Just a little drive by. No, nothing going on. Nothing going on. So it's okay. It's just you just want to make sure there's if there are a couple moving vans up in front, maybe we'd have something to report. But no such thing. So nothing to report on Brady. I'm shocked that there hasn't been a picture leaked out or anything to vacation spot or wherever he may be in this world. I mean, he's Tom Brady after all.
I've moved on from Tom Brady's saga. It's as if he's not on this team anymore. I have moved on.
Well, he is. Like, how can you even say that? I mean, it's Tom freaking Brady.
I have moved on. I saw a preseason game without him. I'm seeing practices without him. We're talking about other players instead of him. Not saying I don't. This is not anti.
So this is Brady and the Bucs' way of letting getting fans used to not having him around. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying like it's not as much of a
don't you dare.
It's not as much of a distraction as I guess there were worries about for me, because I feel like there's so many other things going on with this team and so many other storylines and things that matter about what's going on in the field. I'm not even thinking about the fact that Tom Brady's not here.
Well, I
know he'll be back here.
I know Pro Football Talk wrote a piece about how the Bucs bungled this whole Brady thing from a communication standpoint. I've been somewhat critical of them. Look, if this was something that was pre-planned before camp, why didn't you tell us before camp? Well, then it may have been a longer story. People would have been talking about it leading up to it. How's it going to affect? So if you keep it under wraps as they did, then it's just the first 2 weeks nobody's talking about it.
Who wrote the story? Florio?
Of course.
No.
Of course. Yeah. So I kind of get it from that standpoint, and really it doesn't feel like it's a huge distraction. Like you say, it doesn't feel like it. So maybe the way they handled it was perfect.
I mean, let's be honest here. We just pointed out who's not practicing. Ryan Jensen's not practicing, right? Obviously. Mike Evans isn't practicing. Russell Gage isn't practicing. Yes, they're there. Okay. We see their face, but they're not practicing. Is it really any different if Brady's not practicing?
Look, I would want, if I could make one football argument, it would be Brady and Gage getting more engaged. Because Gage didn't take part in any of the OTAs. The first 2 weeks were the only time he had with Brady. And they, interestingly enough, they were doing extra work together. So look, I think Brady already feels comfortable with him, clearly.
It's the thing where is it extremely odd that Brady's leaving during this time of the year? Absolutely
it is. Nobody takes 10-day, 12-day sabbaticals in the middle of freaking training camp.
At the same time, if there's anybody it's not going to affect, it's going to be Tom Brady.
Of course, I agree.
I can't worry about what's going on with chemistry and this and that. He'll find chemistry. I mean, listen, he didn't have much time, honestly, during the 2020 season, the COVID year, to get chemistry with guys. That was a work in progress.
Right.
It seemed like it worked out okay.
Well, and remember, he was doing those illegal workouts. They're spreading COVID everywhere.
Sorry.
Remember that?
Sorry.
Remember that? He was killing people. Remember, there were media people in this town were like, I can't believe that he's out there
in the park,
outdoors in the park, working with sweating with these other players. It's death to us all. It's a little bit of an overreaction, I think. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll listen to Todd Bowles and Jalen Darden from yesterday. We'll get their perspectives on what's going on at Bucs camp. We are brought to you by Emerging Investigations, emerginginv.com, Tampa Bay's premier private investigation firm. You can find them at emerginginv.com. Quick break. Back to listen to Todd Bowles after this. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. You will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Military veterans, are you struggling with alcoholism or substance abuse? Is it taking a toll on your relationships and your work life? Are you having trouble focusing? Constantly anxious? Well, you may not be surprised to know that your fellow military vets have your six. Heroes Mile is a new concept in rehabilitation clinics, veterans helping veterans. At Heroes Mile, we staff our rehab center with fellow veterans who can understand what you're going through. Our mission is to help you heal from issues that only your fellow veterans can truly understand. Located just outside of DeLand, we offer a full range of inpatient and outpatient programs dealing with substance abuse, post-traumatic stress, and military sexual trauma. We choose to serve veterans because we know how complex these issues are. You could choose to fight the battle alone or win the war together. We are the community care provider with the VA and also accept most major insurance. At Heroes Mile Rehabilitation Center, we have your six. Go to heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. That's heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on Fan Stream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by emerginginvestigations.com. TJ Rives going to join us at 11:15 today, Bucs sideline guy. 10:45, our good friend Corey Long, who covers the Lightning and college football as well. So we'll talk to him about the AP Top 25. That'll be at 10:45. And then at 11:45, Rays fan Joel Robinson is going to come on with us. He's got an interesting story to tell about his experience at the Rays game on Friday. So we'll chat with him. That's the show lineup. And want to remind you about our newest sponsor, Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. So if you think your spouse is cheating or you need some information on an employee, an ex-employee, or a criminal matter, they are the folks to count on. They are the professionals at Emerging Investigations. They are licensed and insured private investigation agency, family owned, the ideal resource to secure evidence or validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging Investigations possesses the experience and resources to get the results you need. They maintain an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency, and they are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, insurance agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations, so just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 3228, 813-291-FACT, or emerginginv.com. All right, as we mentioned, the Bucs will be taking off for Nashville this afternoon after practice, heading up there for 2 organized practices against each other, joint practices like they did against the Dolphins last week, and then they'll play the game on Saturday night. I would not expect many starters to play at all in the game. They'll get most of their work during the joint practices. And obviously Tennessee, a very physical football team. So this is going to be a great test for the Buccaneers from a physical standpoint. I don't know how many live tackling drills they're going to do on King Henry, but there might be a little bit of that going on. And if that doesn't get you ready for playing real NFL football in a physical way, I don't know what does. And that's one of the things you worry about, because there's not tackling to the ground in preseason. These joint practices, they do it obviously in the games. There's not a whole lot of time to practice it. So you see it early in the season. There's just tackling is awful, just to put it quite succinctly. Early in the season, it's awful. It's one of the reasons I think the offenses are a little bit ahead of the defenses early on, and you got to take advantage of that. But this will be a good week to play against a very physical football team on both sides of the line and kind of see where you're at in that sense. Here's Todd Bowles from yesterday after practice.
Grant sore too. He'll be down.
The end of practice here for the losing team.
A couple guys need to get in shape, and one run they all run.
Jared Stern.
That's a little bit of old high school stuff there, huh?
Obviously, he had a good game on Saturday.
Peer pressure.
I mean, he's smart and he's tough. He was hurt in the spring, so you really couldn't see him. He came back this camp. He looks great. He's a very intelligent receiver. Again, he caught a lot of balls in college. He knows all the positions, and he took advantage of his opportunity.
Size how productive he was in college. He over kind of came that.
He was, but it's a bunch of them in college nowadays. Those type of receivers, quick, shifty, fast, but he's tough also. He'll put his neck in there and block, and he'll play some special teams. So we'll see him the next 2 weeks to see how he does.
With Cam Gill, do you think for how much that would enter into the season and then back in there?
Not at the moment. I don't. It could be a little bit. It could be more. I'm not sure yet.
Just running a new running back, Patrick Laird. What have you seen out of him? Obviously, had been here in rookie minicamp.
Well, we had him here in camp. He's in shape. He can run. With Gio down and Barner down, we needed extra back and set of legs to come in, and he knew the system, so we brought him back in because he looked good when we worked him out.
Talking about Patrick Laird, came in from the Dolphins.
Last season, but didn't necessarily run it a lot. Are you okay with the balance as it was, or would you like to see a little bit the ratio change a little bit this year?
As long as the scoreboard is the same, I'll take either one. If they take away the run and make us throw, we got to throw it. If they allow us to run and try to take away the pass, we got to run it. So whatever they're giving us and whatever we can take advantage of, that's what we're going to do.
Looking back on Saturday, with a closer look, is there anybody that popped out to you didn't see initially that impressed you?
I think all the guys pretty much that I said Saturday after the game, it looked the same on tape. Everybody else had solid performances, but those guys stood out.
Code at the fullback spot, is that something you'd like to see more just in general, the use of the fullback? Or I guess how does Code kind of fit in there?
Well, Cole can play on the ball and he can play off the ball. That's the beauty of it. He can play the Y, he can play the F, and he can play the U. So we're going to try to use him all over. He's a good blocker. We understand that. That's why we got him. So it's not necessarily just the fullback position, but he allows us to get in different formations and do different things.
Just a bad day for Logan?
Ryan? No, he's sore. We gave him some days off.
Wave of cuts tomorrow. As the head coach getting back into the swing of things, how do you determine how to make those cuts? The first round you look at maybe a surplus at a position, or is it pretty much what you've seen on tape and what you've seen in practice?
It's a combination of both of them. What you see in practice, what you've seen on tape, how the other guys stack up against you. It's always tough when cut days come because you don't ever want to ruin anybody's dream. But the nature of the business is, we got to let people go. So we'll put our heads together depending on who's short at what position and what we need and who we can afford to let go. And we'll make a decision that way.
Touch with Tom during this whole period, and is he still scheduled to come back next week?
Yes.
There'll be no embellishment on that answer. Yeah, that's it. Yep. He's still expected to come back next week. Absolutely. Yeah. No embellishment.
Hey, I was going to point out, the first round of roster cuts, usually it's like there's no surprises. It's the guys who are at the bottom. I believe the first guy that was cut yesterday only had 8 snaps in the last preseason game.
Yeah.
But I did notice they did make the cuts today already. There's only one shocker. And he might have made the team, might have not, but Ross Cockrell was cut today. Interesting because he's been a fixture in that secondary, I believe, for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, a solid, if not unspectacular, kind of 4th, 5th reserve corner, veteran back there.
Yeah.
Played a lot of football in his career.
He'll get picked up for sure.
He'll definitely get picked up, but I guess surprising this early already out the door.
Maybe there's, you look at this 2 ways. First of all, you brought in.
You want the young guys in there.
Well, not only that, but you brought in Keon O'Neal and Logan Ryan, 2 experienced safeties that you expect to play ahead of them. And you got Edwards and you got Winfield. Who am I forgetting? You've got a lot of younger defensive backs. I just, it may be something where they're like, hey, we'll bring you back at some point. And I think they will. It is, or maybe he just came back and, he's never been a great athlete, but he just knows how to play. I mean, he's very, very effective. He's played really well for this team. I'm a little surprised at that. Maybe there was, maybe he had just slowed down a little bit. He's been around a while, so I don't know. Maybe that is a little surprising because he has given them some very good. I mean, last year there were times when he was their second or third corner. He was playing corner as well, and he played some big minutes for them last year.
Probably more importantly of note, we've talked about Julio Jones and the fact that he's wearing that hideous number 85.
Yeah,
and needs to come off immediately. One of the players who was cut today, I believe, was wearing number 6. So number 6 available. So if Julio Jones wants to get in on the single-digit craze, please get off that 85. Let's slim you out a little bit.
Yeah.
Put that number
look right
on,
at all.
which I'm pretty sure. I guess is that the number they just give to the former best players of their positions? Because isn't that what Le'Veon Bell wore last year for the Bucs was 6?
I think so.
Just have Le'Veon and Julio wear number 6.
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of when Nassib comes in and there's already a guy that's probably going to get cut wearing 94. So it's like, what number is he going to wear? Everybody wants to know. It's like eventually 94.
I usually could give a crap about the numbers.
Yeah,
Julio with the 85, it's got to go.
Yeah. Well, at least 85 is a wide receiver number.
That's not even a wide receiver number anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
That's a tight end number now.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
Who's the last 85 at wide receiver that you can even comes to my mind? I mean, right now it's Chad Johnson.
Yeah,
I can't even think of another one recently.
Yeah, 85. That is true. I see somebody that was really, really good. Oh, who was it? But it's old school. It's definitely old school.
I'll give you an old Buck that wore that number.
Who's that?
Maurice Stovall.
Oh, good one. Yeah, I'm trying to remember a good 85. Yeah, it was Maurice Stovall. I cannot remember one. One. Now that you think about it. Yeah, get rid of that 85. It's definitely not you.
Bad luck.
How about number 1? How about Jalen Darden? He spoke with the media yesterday. Let's listen into a little bit of Jalen Darden, who obviously is having a great camp. Had the touchdown from Gabbert last week. Great route. Has really grown in his second year, big time. And, I thought that for sure he was not going to make this team. And I think now he's almost a lock with the camp that he's having and his ability to return.
Jalen, how different is year 2 for you in this offense?
Definitely slowed down for me. I've been in the playbook majority of the offseason, so I'm really just getting comfortable with the timing of the quarterbacks and me getting into my routes. Other than that, it's basically been the same thing. It's slowed down for me. I've been in the playbook for sure.
Can you talk us through the touchdown that you scored in the preseason game?
Yeah, so basically it was a routine play, kind of ran like an in route. Blaine put it on the money right where I needed to be. We just been practicing that all week, so that's kind of how that play came about.
How fulfilling was that? You're putting in all the work here in training camp to see it pay off in the game with the touchdown in the end zone.
Definitely was a big moment for me, but I plan on doing that a lot more. So kind of just trying to keep my head straight and keep going forward.
What was some of your preparation in the offseason to, focus-wise, to come into this training camp this season and make your name stand out and be more successful?
Honestly, like I said, it was just a lot more studying, me taking that next step and sitting down and making sure I'm knowing where I need to be, when I need to be there, and then everything else is God's gift. Kind of just go out and just do what he kind of blessed me with. So it's kind of all of it.
And that's really. Run fast. He's a glider too.
Yeah, I'm thinking way less. I'm playing a lot faster. I can actually say that. Yes, sir.
Tell ahead of time before the game, or like in the preps and practice, or like the joint practices, do you see yourself thinking less there, or is that like something you can't tell until you're in the game situation?
No, you definitely can see it at practice because of how many reps I'm getting. So if I catch myself thinking about the next play, then I'm not gonna be focused on the play at that moment. So I kind of try to train myself like that because it's the same way in game situations. If I mess up one play, I gotta worry about the next one. I can't focus on that one. That's gonna dictate my whole game. So I'm not really trying to do that. So basically just taking that next step and moving on to the next play.
What's been the biggest help for you, like maybe giving you advice along the way?
I'll say Julio for sure. He basically kind of told me to slow everything down because the type of game I'm playing kind of fast. So I kind of sometimes be overthinking at times. But now he's telling me just slow down and go to my go-to moves and help myself get open and do what I do best. So that's kind of what I've been taking in from Julio for sure.
That's Jalen Darden. It's always interesting. You know, we obviously these teams are the best coach teams in the world. They've got incredible staffs and guys that are coaching receivers and, you know, just really, really good coaching staffs. But there's no replacement for guys like Julio that have played this game and have the experience and can, from player to player, you know, impute that knowledge to younger guys. It makes such a tremendous difference. And boy, you could really see it in Jalen Darden. Whatever he did in the offseason, whatever he's doing, he's a different cat. But we really haven't seen him do a lot of returning yet in the live fire, which was kind of someplace kind of where he maybe was not at his best last year. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Corey Long's going to join us, covers the Lightning for NHL.com, also covers college football for Walter Football. We'll chat with him. The AP Top 25 is out. Only one Florida team made it, and it wasn't UCF. So we'll talk to Corey when we come back. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. They've got it all at the Gold and Diamond Source, folks. Go on over there, look at the selection. It's fantastic. If you're a watch collector, Rolex collector, they can hear. Part of Tampa Bay is the Cuban sandwich, Gasparilla, and our Bucs, Lightning, and Rays. They're also active supporters of great charities like the Humane Society, Metropolitan Ministries, and local pediatric cancer centers. Hey, we all need insurance, so do business with a local company with a commitment to our community. Don't call some 1-800 number. Call Italiano and be greeted by one of your neighbors. That's 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Named the Small Business of the Year by the Tampa Chamber. 813-877-7799.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Emerging Investigations. You can find them at emerginginv.com. TJ Rives going to join us at 11:15, but right now we're going to check in with our good friend Corey Long, who is a college football expert, especially in the state of Florida. We love chatting with him. Also covers the Lightning, as you know, for NHL.com. Good morning, Corey. How are you, sir?
I'm feeling like I'm 16 years old right now. I'll tell you why. Down in West Palm Beach, taking care of my dad while my mom is on vacation. You know, my dad's in his 80s now. He doesn't drive anymore, but he's got this car. He's got this nice BMW he must have bought in one of those big BMW wagons he bought in like 2019, 2020. And he hasn't driven it. It says 2,000 miles on it. So, over 3 years, he hasn't driven it. He doesn't drive anymore. So I'm going to run some errands. And he's like, you want to take my car? And, part of like, oh, yeah, it's great. The other part of like, no, I don't know what the hell to do with this car. So it's like I'm driving for the first time, really. This thing is so newfangled and all kinds of stuff. Like, you got to push unlock buttons to get the it's crazy. So I really feel like I'm a kid taking out dad's car for the first time, and I'm driving about 10 miles an hour down the road and angering everybody behind me.
Oh, I can imagine. Does it have all the bells and whistles with the, you swerve into the other lane and it starts beeping at you? I mean,
oh my God, this thing, I couldn't even put this thing out of park. Like, you had to push it. Like, I'm just trying to get up. Like, what the hell do you do here?
Where's the clutch?
Man,
yeah, absolutely.
You can have this car. That's all I got to say.
I'll take it. No doubt. All right. So, hey, the AP Top 25 poll is out, the preseason poll. This is always very important. Well, it is for the fact that I guess in the last 20 years, only 2 teams outside the top 7 have won the national championship. So we pretty much know it's one of those 7 teams. I'll say one of those 6 teams because I don't think Utah's been the national championship. Can I say that? Can I go out on a limb and say that Utah's not winning the national title? Or are you going to tell me?
I don't think they are.
Okay.
I don't think they are. Yeah,
I mean, they're going to beat Florida. They're going to beat Florida in the opener. We know that. But
I think they definitely do that. Yeah, I think they're just a little too big on both sides of the ball for Florida right now. But I don't think they're going to win a national. I don't think Utah's going to win a national title.
No, I don't see that happening either. Any surprises in that top 25? Maybe Notre Dame being number 5 and USC even being ranked?
Yeah, Notre Dame seemed kind of high. It's preseason. I look at it once and it's kind of like, okay, here. I mean, there's the teams that are, there's a couple of teams that you wonder how Wake Forest is going to deal with the Hartman injury. So, them being ranked, it's deserved from what they did last year, but there's a situation now that, wasn't expected a week ago. So, you got to see what those things are. So no real surprises, I guess. It's going to, by 4 weeks into the season, 12 of those teams aren't going to be there probably. So.
Well, when you look at the upper echelon, obviously Alabama, Georgia, the same olds, except maybe Texas A&M. They've obviously recruited well the past couple of years. Jimbo Fisher, is certainly got that team on the rise. They got a lot of good transfers coming in, Max Johnson and his brother Jake. But I'm still not sold on Jimbo as an everyday game coach. I think he's way too emotional. I always feel like A&M under Jimbo Fisher is going to lose 1 or 2 games that they should win every year based on their talent. Is that fair? I think it's fair. I also look and realize that, the schedule is very hard. The schedule is just extremely hard. And going through it every week, it's oftentimes not the emotion of the coach. It's simply the emotion of the players. I mean, we're again, when they're very good, when a team is good, we're still expecting collegiate players to handle these things like professionals, and they don't. So, from week to week, it's going to be, for week to navigating a certain stretch run that they have to, where they've got to play, a lot of difficult teams in a row, a lot of emotional games, a lot of games they have to get up for. Yeah, that's when you do fall on that, on that evening game against Mississippi State, because very simply, you're out of gas. A lot of it is just, so much of it is schedule. I mean, unless you're Alabama, where you're just, you're just this freak of nature,
you need things to fall right in your schedule. Because I mean, even Ohio State, as good as I think they, even when they were under Urban, they got mollywopped by Iowa one year. They lost like 28 points to Iowa. When they should never lose, but Iowa shouldn't score 28 points in a game. So it's so the fact that it happens, it just lets you know that it's just every week is just hard. The idea, I don't think people realize how hard it is to go undefeated in college, because you just have to show up every week. You have to be able to take everybody's best punch. That's why, like I said, it's always, I don't think, obviously Alabama has a tremendous amount of talent on both sides of the ball, and I still don't think you get the credit they deserve, because it's just hard to have that sort of run for that sustained period of time and have won that many titles in the process. I didn't think, as talented as Georgia was last year, I didn't think they were going to win the title with Stetson Bennett. The fact that they did is, tells me they were, they had 15 draft picks on that. 15 guys get drafted. That's a fifth of the roster.
Yeah, insane. I did want to ask you about USC, because they're obviously being ranked very high in every ranking right now. There's some people saying that they're a dark horse for the playoff, and I get it, because Lincoln Riley, they brought in Williams, and they brought in Travis Dye. They brought in a big transfer class, and you're in the Pac-12. It's an easier schedule. I get all that, but at the end of the day, they won 4 games last year. It was a 4-win team. So my question is, is all of that, those nice new parts that they have, can you see it all coming together and them somehow winning 10, 11 games like some people are talking right now? Like, is it that good enough to make up that what they had last year?
I think 11 is a bit of a stretch. I think 9 is certainly capable. Just better coach. Clay Helton wasn't a good coach. I'll tell you that much right now. They had plenty of talent on that team. Mm-hmm. Clay Helton just wasn't a great coach. Just really couldn't get the most out of those guys. How much talent do they have on that team? Well, you see the 2 quarterbacks that left are going to be starting at other Power 5 universities, major schools, Yeah. So, back coming in following NFL picks, Jackson Dart, I think Jackson Dart might end up being as good as Caleb Williams when it comes down to it. I think he's got that sort of arm talent. So they, but Lincoln Riley is a next level coach, and they've got good talent in there next year. They're going to be extremely talented the following year. So yeah, I think 9 is fair. Anything over 9, I think, is excellent for them this year. I think when you're looking at USC, I think it's maybe not next season, but the following season is when I really expect them to be, that first year in the Big Ten is when I expect them to be challenging for a playoff spot.
Corey Long joining us.
I think that's that time period you need to really gather the depth that he needs on both sides of the ball. They've still got some issues on their line when you get past their first teams.
Yeah, defensively, I don't think they're very good, but we'll see if the Lincoln Riley can fix that as well. Miami, the only team in the top 25 from the state of Florida. I guess USF got 27 votes. Florida got 14. FSU got none.
Hey, put some respect on my Knights. You said USF.
I'm sorry, UCF. My bad.
Thank you.
Appalachian State got 4 votes. FSU got none. Just throwing that out there.
You got to win games to get votes, JP.
Charlie Belcher's team's got more votes in the top 25 than my team.
Got to win games to get votes.
I'm not saying they deserved it. I'm just saying, that's where we are right now.
That's where they are right now, but he's, we'll see. He's got one thing I'll say about Mike Norvell. He has figured out the key words to say to get boosters excited. He's talking about process, and he had identity week and all these other little gimmicks. And if they turn into wins, hey, more power to them. If they don't, it doesn't matter to me. People have asked me so much. A lot of people ask me at FSU at practice. What do you think? How great? I heard nothing but great things. Listen, they don't keep score at practice, and they don't. And no, everybody's a practice national champion. There have been a lot of national titles won in training camp.
Yeah, especially UCF.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I just love.
I remember the days when FSU we didn't have to worry about practice. Right. We just didn't want you to get injured. Remember those days? You just didn't care. Hey, whatever. Quarterback struggles, whatever. They're gonna win. They're gonna be 11-1 this year. Doesn't matter.
Your passive aggressive swipes at Florida State are just absolutely classic. I love them. Yeah. He's figured out the buzzwords.
I really do. I like it. I love Florida State football. I'm not sold on Mike Norvell as a coach, but I love the program. So I want the program to do well.
Hey, listen, when Micah Pittman is coming in and comparing his quarterback, Jordan Travis, to the one he played with, the guy by the name of Justin Herbert, I think we're in good hands. I'll just say that.
Yeah. I also heard I literally heard Corey Clark from War Chant compared Tate Rodemaker to both Tyler Van Dyke, then later said he made throws that only Pat Mahomes could make. So I think there's a little bit of hyperbole coming out of FSU camp. I'm not gonna confirm it, but I think there's some hyperbole coming out of FSU camp. But I love the optimism.
Yeah.
There is no 5-win team more optimistic than FSU.
Hey, talk a little USF. Gary Bohannon gets named the starter, and McClain says, "I'm out." Like less than an hour later, he's in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Listen, I have no idea what offers Timmy McClain has. He may have some great places to go, and people are sweet talking in his ear. I just don't know if that's the best way to go. When you're still a snap away, and you're still a redshirt freshman. I guess you've used a COVID year. I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of that going on these days. Nobody wants to stick around and battle. But again, I don't know what's up with that. What do you think about that trend?
I was a little surprised to see Timmy leaving because I felt like even if he didn't get the start, that there had to be some plans for him. I think he was a good young prospect at quarterback. He did what he could for the team last year. I get it on both sides. Jeff Scott, I think they're in a win now situation. They won 3 games in 2 years.
Yeah.
They can't afford another 2-win season. All of a sudden, you just become a bad coach when you're 5-25 or whatever over 3 years. That ain't gonna. No one's preaching patience when that happens. So they found an opportunity late in the transfer portal window to get a kid that helped Baylor, win a conference title. A tough young man who was a little banged up last year. He brings a lot of experience. I think they did what they had to do. At the end of the day, I understand why coaches do what they had to do. I understand why Brian Kelly brought in Jaden Daniels from Arizona State. You and I had talked about, I thought FSU should have brought in a transfer. I get you like what you have in Jordan Travis, but you don't have much behind them.
Yeah.
And you need that competition. You got to give yourself the best chance to win. If there's someone out there that gives you the best chance to win, you got to do it because, guys, the coaches are getting fired fast. I mean, that coaching carousel is a real thing. So I get it on both sides. So I understand why Timmy McClain is not happy. I think they brought in Bohannon 2 days before the transfer window closed. I don't think that, from what I'm gathering, it doesn't feel like he feels like he got a fair shot in the competition. So I understand why he's leaving. If you don't think you're going to get a legitimate shot, the transfer portal gives you the opportunity to go.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it. As long as you and I have been watching college football, many controversial things as we've been around with quarterbacks. Oh my God, if this portal existed in the 90s, geez.
Oh my God, right?
Oh my goodness. Because, you remember, we both follow FSU. So you remember the Chris Ricks, Adrian McPherson days. Nobody, every time it's oh man, McPherson's not getting a fair shot at the quarterback position. Right. Chris Ricks was kind of horrible at times.
Yes, he was. Yeah. And except that one pass he put over, what was that dude, that safety's head in
one pass over Gus Scott to a PK Sam.
PK Sam, one of my favorite moments ever. I was sitting in Florida Field.
I was sitting at the top of the other end zone at the Swamp. I got those awesome seats where you're basically 3 steps from dying. And I remember that play. He had Dominic Robinson wide open 5 yards down the field. And I'm just he sees that guy that's wide open, and Dominic's about to, he's about to go break dancing to tell him he's open. But Chris Ricks, that was Chris Ricks. He was going to launch it.
He threw that ball from the 33-yard line. His own 33-yard line.
It probably wasn't his greatest pass because it was actually kind of on the money. And he just said, I'm throwing it as far as I can. We're going to win or lose this game right now.
And I'm sure the safety was like, he can't throw it that far. Oh shit, he just did. Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments. And just the idea now that, what coaches have to do to retain quarterbacks, and they have to make decisions on, do I go after a transfer guy? And I'm sure he did tell Timmy McClain, no, we're not looking at anybody in the transfer portal. But then, here comes Gary Bohannon knocking on your door, and you're like, well,
yeah. What do you do? You have to give yourself the best chance to win every week.
Yeah.
You owe it to everybody on that locker room. You do.
Yeah, and that's why these coaches have to make these tough calls now. And I think he made the right call. I mean, Timmy may be better in the long run, and he's got experience, but so does Gary Bohannon. He's proven he can do it. And from what I've heard, and I've talked to a couple of the receivers over there, it's just a different kind of ball coming out. It's big time. His arm and his accuracy, Bohannon I'm talking about, is just on another level. And and he has the experience of and he's a great runner. He can do it all. And if you nailed it, you got to win games this year. You got to go with the more experienced guy, and that's what they did. Hey, Florida had a big weekend in recruiting. They just opened up their new facility there, and they got 4 blue chippers, including a commitment from my good friend Ernest Graham's son, who plays linebacker. He's a 2024 kid. So you knew he was going to Florida, but they got a 4-star D lineman, Will Norman from IMG. They got Orlando's Cameron James, who they got over Georgia, and Kelby Collins, defensive lineman who they took away from Alabama. Those are some huge wins for Napier. You told me this. You said this when he was hired, is that this guy is going to recruit the blue chippers. He's going to get the upper end talent where maybe FSU is not getting that talent. Tell me why.
Well, what I like what he's doing is I'm not sure where IMG kid is from originally, but when I looked at his class yesterday, and I looked at there's everybody on there is from the state of Florida except for 2 kids that are from Georgia, which is fine, and that tells me that he was going to be very smartly isolated in his approach this year. I'm going to get kids from Florida. We're going to recruit the state. And, obviously if something major comes in from an outside area, that's one thing. But they were going to focus on the state and building from within, because as we see with kids switching around, your best chance at retaining kids are to get them from the state where you feel like they have something personally invested in the schools that they go to, from whether it's from just being fans as childhood or otherwise. So I like the idea that he came in wanting to really attack the state of Florida and recruiting and get good players out of the state. I think he's done that. I think he's shown that, that impresses high school coaches. That impresses future young prospects. There's definitely something about that. And I even think it's something that, I knew that was something that Miami would do. I knew, Mario Cristobal was going to go hard in South Florida. He does. I think Florida State's getting better at it in some areas. I still think they're a little too Mississippi, Louisiana heavy.
I agree.
I get, and that was where they recruited a lot when they were at Memphis. But, at a certain point, them Louisiana kids are just, they're making you look bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, I think you just have, you think that, Billy Napier realized right away how important in-state recruiting was, how important it was to establish the school as being one that will recruit in-state talent, because there's always going to be a lot of talent here. And, a lot of times, and there's going to be even the bad years at Florida are good years. Yeah. So, you're going to get some top-end talent. And he's doing a very good job. They got a long way to go. And I don't think this season is going to be good by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know what their over-under is, but I'm definitely on the under right now.
Yeah.
But I think long-term, the one thing that the fans that they wanted was somebody they felt like can recruit something sustainable. I mean, Dan Mullen won a lot of games there, but they felt like his recruiting was so poor that nothing was going to be sustainable. So this guy, I feel like, the recruiting that he's doing is going to be sustainable over time.
And speaking of that, recruiting in state, that is, and especially in the state of Florida, and I'm going to bring up UCF here because I'll never.
That's okay.
I feel like they're part of the conversation.
You should. You're the
they're
UCF
part of the
rep.
conversation.
Absolutely.
Gus Malzahn, when he came here, he said, his first press conference, we're going to recruit like our hair is on fire, and we're going to put a barrier around the city of Orlando, right? And I'm looking at recruiting. They've signed 4 4-star prospects in the month of July for next year's class.
Mm-hmm.
And that's as many as they signed in the 7 years prior. And all 4 guys are from the Orlando area, kind of Altamont Springs, Oviedo.
There you go.
So obviously it's working. And I know these guys aren't maybe top 100 guys, top 50 guys, obviously.
No,
but it seems like they're in the conversation. Like, are they getting closer to that now?
The one thing, and I remember in Gus's post game after the bowl win last year, is very you could hear his recruiting pitch right away.
Yeah,
it was, we're going in state, we're heading into the Big 12, and that's what he's selling. And you know what, he's got it to sell. They're going into a conference that the only conference outside of the SEC and the Big 10 that looks like there might be a level of stability beyond like 2025 is the Big 12. And and he understands that you need more talent to play in there. But I think kids are responding because they see that it's good to be a program that you feel like it's going somewhere. Like in all of this as this big salad bowl of college football, as things get mixed around and teams have to find out where they belong, I think UCF is in a decent spot. I think they're figuring that they might have a spot at the table when this thing is all said and done, 2-3 years from now, when we kind of figure out what new college football is going to look like. So it's a great selling point for them. Bottom line is, hey, we're heading into a big conference. We've won a lot of games. I think we have a high level of value in the college football world right now. So regardless of what happens, how many people switch conferences, we're going to have a spot at this table.
All right, my friend, last question for you. Tell me who's in the top 25 from the state of Florida after the season, after the bowl games, and where their rankings. Tough question.
Miami's going to be, we'll say Miami's going to be 11th. UCF will be 19th.
Nobody else ranked.
Nobody else ranked. Florida State will have some votes, though. How about that?
Okay. I'm going to say UCF is going to be 14th.
Ooh.
Because I think they have an easy schedule and they're going to win more games than anybody of the group. I'm going to say Miami finishes 20th. I'm going to say FSU finishes 24th. And I'm going to say USF finishes 25th.
Oh, come on.
All right. I mean, you know what? I mean, if they can get past that early part of the schedule, they might. I mean, I'm curious to see USF play BYU. See how they can hold up against some 27-year-old offensive and defensive linemen.
They went toe-to-toe with them last year up there, remember? And I
thought they played them hard. Yeah, I thought they played them hard.
And USF is way better, and they're going to get them in the muck down here in the heat.
You don't get them in that nice Utah elevation.
Yeah, no
that nice, beautiful mountains and stuff.
Come suck some steam down here, boys, and we'll see how you do. All right, my friend, we'll chat. We'll run
all right, guys. It's close. You can feel it, can't you? We're like 2 weeks away. Less than 2 weeks away. It's exciting.
All right, partner. Always great to talk to you. Corey Long, follow him
talk
on
to you
Twitter
later.
At Corey Long, COREYLONG, and evidently he has a nice BMW SUV that if you need it, he's willing to give away. So that's nice. I'll take that. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Bucs sideline guy TJ Rives going to join us. We'll talk some Buccaneers as they get ready to head on up to Nashville and go toe-to-toe with Tennessee. Stay with us. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Military veterans, are you struggling with alcoholism or substance abuse? Is it taking a toll on your relationships and your work life? Are you having trouble focusing? Constantly anxious? Well, you may not be surprised to know that your fellow military vets have your six. Heroes Mile is a new concept in rehabilitation clinics, veterans helping veterans. At Heroes Mile, we staff our rehab center with fellow veterans who can understand what you're going through. Our mission is to help you heal from issues that only your fellow veterans can truly understand. Located just outside of DeLand, we offer a full range of inpatient and outpatient programs dealing with substance abuse, post-traumatic stress, and military sexual trauma. We choose to serve veterans because we know how complex these issues are. You could choose to fight the battle alone or win the war together. We are the community care provider with the VA and also accept most major insurance. At Heroes Mile Rehabilitation Center, we have your six. Go to heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. That's heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. They've got it all at the Gold and Diamond Source, folks. Go on over there, look at the selection. It's fantastic. If you're a watch collector, Rolex collector, they can help you find whatever you're looking for. And also, ladies, if you have some old gold jewelry or diamonds or whatever that you're not wearing, or maybe it's broken, bring it on into the Gold and Diamond Store so they can fix it. Number one, if you don't want that, they can they'll pay you cash for it, or they'll give you something that you want. Go shopping with that money right there in store that you get from what you bring in. So a lot of different things you could do over at the Gold and Diamond Source. And we always thank Julie and Steve Weintraub. Their Hands Across the Bay charities doing great works for domestic violence victims. Great stuff. So we always say support those local companies that support your local community. None better than the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Almerton Road, always online at the Gold and Diamond Source. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Italiano Insurance has been serving and working in our community for over 60 years, and it's not just about insuring all the pieces of your life. Italiano is as much a part of Tampa Bay as the Cuban sandwich, Gasparilla, and our Bucs, Lightning, and Rays. They're also active supporters of great charities like the Humane Society, Metropolitan Ministries, and local pediatric cancer centers. Hey, we all need insurance, so do business with a local company with a commitment to our community. Don't call some 1-800 number. Call Italiano and be greeted by one of your neighbors. That's 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Named the Small Business of the Year by the Tampa Chamber. 813-877-7799.
Hi, my name is Mike Warner, a Navy vet. I've had problems with addictions throughout the many decades. Something saved my life, and that is the Heroes Mile program.
Hi, I'm Bill Lennox, retired Lieutenant General, United States Army. If you have any challenges in alcohol, drug, If you have PTSD, MST, think about Heroes Mile.
Heroes Mile, a recovery center for veterans by veterans. Call 1-888-VET-NOW2 to learn more or visit heroesmile.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by our new sponsor, Emerging Investigations. Folks, don't take matters into your own hands by trying to install snooping programs on phones or GPS trackers on your spouse. That can cause unneeded stress and give you inaccurate results. Go with the professionals at Emerging Investigations. They have proven results and tremendous testimonials from all their satisfied customers. Call for a free consultation. They'll discuss how they can help you. Peace of mind is as valuable as bad news. So find out what's going on in life's biggest matters. Hire the folks that get results and get accurate results. It's Emerging Investigations. You can find them at emerginginv.com or at 813-291-FACT, 813-291-FACT. We're also brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. If you're looking to lose weight or testosterone replacement therapy or get a new primary care, that's the place to go. They're taking new patients currently. Not sure how long that's going to last, but Dr. Lugo and his entire team over there do a fantastic job, especially right now. If you're looking to lose weight, they've got some great programs and specials that they're offering right now. Everything is personalized from your diet to your exercise routine. They find out what foods work well for you, what foods don't work well for you, and everything is personalized. That's not a one-size-fits-all plan or pill that they hand out to people, folks. So it's the right way, and it's a sustainable way to lose weight. Once you lose it, you will keep it off, and that's different from many of these other programs you'll see around town. So easy to get to, BAMMC.com. Just go to the website, get all the information. You could contact them through their Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Thanks to all our great sponsors that allow us to do what we do. Hey, some news out of Bucs camp today. I saw Chris Godwin running around when I was out there earlier this morning. And as I had to leave to do the show, we get news that he's participating in 7-on-7 for the first time and caught a touchdown. And again, he looks great. He's wearing a big knee brace, but there's no hitch in his giddy up. He looks fluid. They're just bringing him along slowly.
Yeah, but that's a good sign today that he's out there. You know, I said that strategic purposes because of that Saints game in week 2. I was kind of circling week 3 for his return, but the fact that he's here in 7-on-7s, it's the next step in his development, catching a touchdown in there as well. I mean, who knows? Who knows, right? I mean, we still have some time until the first game. I think just under 25 days until we get to week 1. So
he's playing week 1.
He might.
Not Thanksgiving, not December.
I mean, I'm repping him today, by the way. My Chris Godwin.
Oh, I see that.
Chris Godwin,
very nice.
See there.
Very nice.
So,
yeah,
I'm feeling Chris Godwin today.
So so obviously for fantasy, you know, people are kind of, you know, iffy. Should I go with him? Should I not? He's obviously going to get a ton of targets. He's going to be Brady's number 1 targeted player, I think. I don't think there's any question about that. He's, in my mind, a top 5 receiver, but it's a huge question mark coming off such a major injury. You just don't know, but I still think he's going to get the targets, and I think he's playing week 1.
In fantasy purposes, a lot of people will go, oh, well, they have all these mouths to feed, and how's he going to separate himself? And I'll tell you this, last year the Bucs had the same thing, right? Chris Godwin, when he played, was 7th in points per game from receivers in fantasy last year. That's a wide receiver 1 type number.
Absolutely.
The year before, he was the same way. Chris Godwin is just that good. And in this offense, I know Mike Evans is always going to have the 1,000 yards and all the touchdowns. Chris Godwin, in my opinion, is the better overall receiver than Mike Evans, and he's the number 1 in this offense.
And, you know, if things hold true as they have with Brady here, he's going to get the most targets. And with his running ability after the catch, it's just, if you're in a PPR league, it's a no-brainer. It's a complete no-brainer. But I'm also drafting Evans, too, as a 1. I mean, if you got a chance to get Evans or Godwin.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I'm not taking your fantasy advice if you're telling me Mike Evans is a 1.
Absolutely.
He's a 2. He's a 2.
He's getting 8-9 targets a game.
He's a 2.
But here's the other thing that's interesting about the Bucs, though, is they are not going to throw it as much as they did last year. So even though you look at previous targets to Godwin and Evans, they might be down 1 or 2 per game, and you know that could be significant. So, I mean, how many receivers do you have ranked against above Mike Evans in your fantasy league?
Cooper Kupp, for sure.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs.
So in a 12-team league, Mike Evans is not getting taken in the first round.
Okay, well, here, let's count them. Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase. That's 5 right there off the top of my head that I'm putting ahead of him.
And you already put Godwin ahead of him.
I already put Godwin ahead of him, assuming Godwin plays the whole season. So that's 6 right there. I'm trying to go through my receivers here.
I'm going to go look at the list right now. I
tell you what.
You got to start looking around before you say no to Mike Evans here.
I know there's other names just on the top of my head right now. I'm drawing a blank. Deontay Johnson, I'm taking ahead of him in Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yes. Deontay Johnson was an 8 last year.
Yeah, who the hell's throwing him the ball, bro?
Who the hell was throwing him the ball last year? Like, everybody's like, oh, well, Big Ben wasn't good.
Yeah,
I've already proven that he's quarterback proof because of Big Ben Roethlisberger was throwing him the ball. Devontae Adams, I forgot about him. He's obviously ahead of him. So I'm already at 8 right there, ahead of Mike Evans. Deebo Samuel, assuming that he replicates the year that he had last year, is ahead of Mike Evans.
Again, quarterback issues.
See, to me,
Mike Evans he's going to get a lot of touches regardless.
Mike Evans, to me, falls in that Keenan Allen territory.
Yeah.
Which I feel like those two guys, their entire careers are like intertwining right now. I feel like Mike Evans and Keenan Allen, that is where I put them in that kind of fantasy tier, which is probably wide receiver 10 to 15. There's probably 5 guys. I'll throw a DK Metcalf in there because I don't know who's throwing him the football. That's more of a discussion. Terry McLaurin's another one. I put those guys kind of in that category, 10 to 15.
Yeah, that's why for me, in a 12-team league, you could definitely make that case.
You can
Mike
make
Evans.
a case. If you put him as your number 1 receiver, I hope you have taken 2 running backs in round 1 and round 2. Because Mike is a 3rd-round pick in my opinion.
If you get Mike Evans and a top running back, if you're in the 11th or 12th spot, you come out with Mike Evans and say, who would, I'm trying to think somebody who's going to last that long as a running back. In my league, it's not a PPR league. I'm in an old league.
I think a Nick Chubb could fall there this year. A Nick Chubb could fall to that area.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones is in that area. It's kind of, that's where that is. But I'm still not.
If you get an Aaron Jones, Mike Evans 1-2, and you're late in the rounds.
I still don't feel great about it, to be honest with you. I don't know about that, but no.
Let me see where CBS has it. CBS says Mike at is this their rankings here? Yeah, they have him ahead of Chris Godwin, which is interesting. It's because I think a lot of people will think that since Godwin is injured and may not play early on in the season, I think he's playing. I think he's playing from week 1, but I think it also kind of depends on how everything leads up to that. They're not going to, it'll be interesting to see if he wants to play in the 3rd preseason game, if he wants to get some of that action, or they just want to control whatever action he's got going in practice. I don't know. We'll see. But he just doesn't seem like he's limited at all. When I watch him run, and he runs full out when he runs his patterns just against air, and he just seems like he's not encumbered in any way, shape, or form. So I'm full go on Chris Godwin.
He's not, but let's welcome in our guest here, TJ. Here he's in the stream. So
he is in the stream.
We'll turn off our fantasy football talk for now and get TJ in here.
Oh, TJ's
No. I'm a fantasy guy. I was liking the debate back and forth. It's good to be with you guys.
We're debating here, by the way. I'll ask you if you're in fantasy purposes, and we're just going to hypothetically say Chris Godwin comes back for week 1. We saw he was in 7-on-7s today. Who would you rather have, Chris Godwin or Mike Evans? I'm on the Chris Godwin train. JP's on the Mike Evans train.
I would still take Godwin ahead of Evans, but I'm like in the top
train,
12. I would, I think they're both decent picks.
I think because of the injury concern, at least at the beginning of the year, I think Evans is the safer pick. They're about the same, though, in terms of touchdowns. How often do they get thrown to? What we don't know as a variable is with Rob Gronkowski not in the mix, is Tom Brady going to favor one of them more than the other? We don't know that till we get in. It's a little bit of a risk. The thing I love about these debates is I remember, Nick, I'm sorry. I was having these debates, and JP, I don't know how long you've been playing fantasy football, but I was just doing another show where we were talking about this. I was having these debates when it was Andre Reed versus Art Monk versus whoever the bad Buccaneer receiver was in the late 1980s. I go back to 1989. Wow. It's the first year I played fantasy football. And the debates at the top, Do you take Barry Sanders? Do you take Jim Kelly and the K-Gun offense? Do you take Emmitt Smith? Do you, what about Michael Irvin against Andre Reed? The Buccaneers never seem to be in that mix with Ray Perkins and Richard Williamson and Sam White.
Getting there.
Mark Carrier would maybe get in the conversation later in the draft. Vinny Testaverde never at the top of the draft board. Buccaneers were running the ball with Lars Tate and Reggie Cobb. They were never at the top of the draft board. I'm just saying, JP, this is good to have these conversations on where do you take Brady, where do you take Evans, Godwin, Fournette. Fournette is an excellent option if you're in the points per reception, the PPR leagues, because Brady loves to throw to the backs. If you're getting more points for Leonard Fournette might be more valuable, young Nick, than either Evans or Godwin in a PPR league.
Third most receptions of a running back last 3 seasons behind only, I think, Alvin Kamara and Austin Eckler. Leonard Fournette.
So as crazy as that sounds, if your league, again, accounts for points per reception, he's good for 4 or 5 receptions a game in addition to getting goal line rushing touchdowns. Just something else to think about on a Tuesday while we discuss this.
I did want to ask you this, though, because you brought up 1989 in fantasy football. I believe I've heard this story, but obviously y'all tipped it. So obviously when I'm trying to check my score, I got it right in my phone. And when my phone doesn't load in like real time on a Sunday, I'm losing my mind.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure I heard that y'all didn't know who won or who points until the paper Monday morning.
Yes, in a lot of cases. All right, so you have to appreciate, JP, this is 1,000%. You have to appreciate there is no internet with a readily available box score in 1989. Again, there's no NFL Sunday ticket. That didn't come until the mid-1990s. So if you did not go to a sports restaurant, a sports bar, you could not see other games. So you were getting one game or maybe 2 at 1 o'clock, and then one game at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And by the way, for the first half of the season, there was not a Sunday night game. At that time in the late 80s, ESPN would start showing the Sunday night game like about week 9. So like the back half of the season, you'd get a Sunday night game. So you're sitting there, my point, in the dark on what are the results, and more, much less you don't have a box score to know, did Andre Reed catch for 100 yards? You wouldn't know it until the paper the next day because there was no way to get that info. So you're absolutely right. And it would be controversy in these leagues, JP. We know this more so than Nick, because you're doing the scoring a lot of times by hand. Yeah. And if the box score is wrong or doesn't have the right info, it affects the score of the game and the scoring and the math and all the stuff. You don't know how easy you have it in the present day, the last few years, where we just sit on this instantaneously to find out who did what in whatever game while they're all televised.
You got the real scores in real time, and that's what makes it so exciting when you're watching, the Steelers against the Browns, late in the season, and nobody cares, or the Jags against, the Falcons. And it's like everybody's on the edge of their seat to see, if there's going to be one more touchdown from Trevor Lawrence or
somebody's catch, somebody's yardage. Right.
Yeah.
That's why red zone's the greatest thing for that, though.
Yeah, of course.
All you need to see. I don't even watch other games anymore.
Yeah.
I watch the Bucs game and then I watch red zone the rest of the day.
But you have to appreciate, or like, for example, in that 89 season, and I know you want to get to the present day. I'm a college student in Memphis. JP's in college at Florida State. I'm a college student in Memphis. They're never going to show a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. So I would frequently go. There was a sports restaurant. There was a great personality there, a former coach named Pepper Rogers.
I remember
Pepper Rogers in Memphis had a sports bar that would have all the games on. So this was heaven in 1989 because you couldn't get it on your TV. You didn't have one of these. I'm holding up the phone for the audio audience. You could not get it on a phone. You didn't have it on your TV. So I would go to watch the Buccaneer game. And JP, I would always request it. I'm like the only one there that cared. I'm over like on a side of the restaurant with one little TV, one little maybe 13-inch or 15-inch screen would have the Buccaneer game on it, because the rest of the restaurant would have the Dallas Cowboy game, or it would have the Washington Redskin early game, or have pick one, the Chicago Bear early game. They'd have 3 or 4 of those TVs with it on it. So I have no sound, Nick, and I'm trying to figure out who did Chris Chandler just overthrow for the interception in the 89 season, or Vinny, or whoever, trying to watch the games. That's what you had to do to see a game. In our case in Memphis, and JP, I don't know if Tallahassee might have been showing the Buccaneer games. All right. But in Memphis, they were showing the New Orleans Saints, sometimes the Dallas Cowboys, because the Cowboys weren't very good at the end of the 80s. And then the national game, whether that was the Bears that were really good, the 49ers or whoever, you weren't ever seeing a Buccaneer game. You had no way to see a Buccaneer game. There weren't tapes of Buccaneer games. You couldn't watch. There was no YouTube. There was no way to see it. So,
well, I'm working at a TV station in Tallahassee, and of course we got satellites. Okay. So I'm getting my satellite guy who runs Master Control, and I'm getting him. We're looking up on a chart that they would send out to TV stations, and we're dialing up different satellites, and we're watching different games at the station. Where I had my own Sunday ticket back. I
should have been with you. You had the JP Sunday ticket. And you could dial it around. Instead, I'm watching a screen that's an eye exam at a sports bar that's charging you $15 an hour to sit there and eat food and drink. I still remember that. You had to pay $15 every hour to keep your table. $15 per person. $15 per person to stay at the table, and they kept track of this because there were other people coming in to watch. This is what we had to do, Nick, for fantasy football. That's
the first payment for DirecTV right there. That's what it was.
I appreciate being a Gen Z or whatever.
And we had a teletype in the newsroom. The AP wire would come across, and that's when I would get, like, I was betting a lot back in those days. So that's how I would get the scores. Like, I'm waiting to see if my team won or not. I'm like staring at the teletype as it's coming across.
Exactly. Because you had that was the box score. That was the box score that you had to have to know what the numbers were.
Like, it would say Bills 24, and I'm waiting for Dolphins 21, 3.5. Yes. I won.
That takes me back to one more story. Like in the old days of the original sports station in this market where I cut my teeth and began, the old Sports Radio 910. And JP, I think that was gone before you got here. Then we had 820 The Team. We had WDAE. We had 1010 The Team. Okay. The old original first, and it was the first all sports radio station in the state of Florida. It was the first 24-hour all sports radio station in the state of Florida. It came into existence 1990 in Tampa Bay. All right, so I cut my teeth working at that station, interning at that station, working at that station. We would constantly get calls. If we were working Sunday afternoon and Sunday night, like there was a game on or whatever, we would constantly get calls. What's the score? Again, you have no internet. What's the score? What's the final score of the Rams 49ers game? Oh, the 49ers killed them. No. What was the final score of the game? I need to know the score of the game. We would constantly get those calls at the radio station, even on Monday morning for like the Saturday night college football. Because it wasn't in the paper on Sunday. What was the score of the Hawaii Cal game? Oh, Cal beat them, easily. Oh, no. What was the score? Because they had to know the spread. It was the same. I still remember sitting there. Vinny Testaverde left the Buccaneers in the 1993 season to go play for Bill Belichick and the Cleveland Browns. All right. I remember being at the station on a Sunday afternoon. The Browns game was actually a national game. They were showing it on Channel 8, JP, 1993. Vinny Testaverde for the Browns. He threw a game-winning touchdown pass against somebody. All right. We are not on the air with local shows. We're doing something else. All right. Vinny, we have the TV on. Vinny throws the touchdown on Channel 8. And when he did, every phone line for the station's phones started ringing and kept ringing for like 10 minutes. And we have no live show on the air. Yeah. We were there doing other work. I still remember that. Because, again, this was that big of a deal that game was the one game you could see, is my point. You didn't have satellite dish. You didn't have teletype. You didn't have all of that. So there's a little nostalgia for you, Nick, on the old days. Handwritten fantasy football. You wouldn't know the scores of the games till like Monday afternoon or Monday night. No lie.
Now these guys are complaining that they don't get it like in real
instantaneously.
Eight seconds left on the delay.
When the sleeper app crashes on a Sunday, it's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, forget about it. But, and and we can argue also, has fantasy football ruined the fan experience? Because it's like some people aren't even fans of teams anymore. They're just fans of players. And this whole allegiance to a team has been lost to an allegiance to a player or to your fantasy team and
the stats.
And that becomes the number one thing. And it's like fans aren't fans anymore. It's all about fantasy and betting, but so be it. I mean, enjoy the games as you like to enjoy them, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, any notes? We haven't talked to you since the Saturday night game where you were down there on the field. So we got to get your perspective on what you saw, what stood out to you from a Bucs standpoint.
So obviously Blaine Gabbert impressive, and I've said this for so long, and you have too. You have to temper all of this. You are in a preseason setting. In this case, it's backups against backups with Blaine Gabbert at quarterback. Miami did not have a significant starter on defense for that whole first half. The Buccaneers had no significant starters for anything the Dolphins were doing that whole first half. The coverages are going to be vanilla. The blitz packages are not going to be. I mean, these teams are holding everything back. So we understand that. But in terms of looking sharp and hitting people with the football, Blaine Gabbert looks sharp. Obviously, that's what you want to see. And I know there's back and forth. I know you're an FSU guy. Kyle Trask is going to be fine. Kyle Trask may not be spectacular at any point, but Kyle Trask demonstrated even backups against backups, he can make some of the throws. And if he's got time with a good offensive line and with receivers, granted, it's going to be a hyped up blitzing defense, different coverages. But if he's got time, he can make throws. You saw that again Saturday. And I love the wide receiver battle. Man, this team, I'm going to say this on your show, and I think I may have said it before, but I'm going to say it probably a couple times before we get there. This team's going to cut a receiver or two that's going to start on other teams in the NFL. It's that deep of a room where they can't keep everybody, and they're going to have to cut a player or two that will be starting somewhere else. The receiving room is that good, JP.
I would agree with that 100%. Did you get a sense for how Robert Hainsey played? I mean, from what I could tell from watching on the TV copy, I thought he played really well. There were a couple of, and they were trying to run behind him, I think, at certain points. And he turned guys in the hole, pancaked a couple of them. I thought he played really, really well. Again, against backups, but, he's doing what he's supposed to do.
And give credit here, because the Buccaneers are going on faith here that Hainsey can play center and can be the guy. And we got a long way to get to September 11th with him healthy to be there. He looked good. And it was interesting. They were playing the backup offensive line. Nick Leverett was playing next to him at left guard. And Leverett may end up pushing Aaron Stinney for the left guard. Stinney was there some. Leverett was there some. And then Nick Leverett played almost the whole game, because then he became the backup center. He played into the fourth quarter. I know that. And then I think they used a third center later on. So Leverett is versatile. He's the backup right now. But I thought they did some good things. You're right on running the ball, on pass protection. And so now you'll see Hainsey in the first quarter, maybe a little beyond, it looks like, for this Titans game. And then you may not see him in the final game. I don't know what they're going to do, if they want to get him to work. I mean, let's go over this scenario just real quick. You didn't ask me. So Tom Brady is not participating in the practices this week in Tennessee. He's not participating in the game. Would you not be interested in getting Tom Brady a series against Indianapolis with Robert Hainsey as his center in live fire against an opponent? Absolutely. I think we got to seriously consider that, right? Yes.
And didn't Brady play in the third preseason game last year to some degree, if my memory serves?
I'm trying to remember. That was the Houston game. He may have played the first series. We got to go back and look. Yeah, but in this case, you may be looking at that because of the circumstances here of wanting him with Hainsey in a live game situation.
And I think with the sabbatical that's going on here with Brady, I think it is more important for him to get a little bit of live fire and in a game, because he's taking some time off, and he's got to get his rhythm of something that's going to be close to what he's going to see in the regular season. And this, obviously 23 years in, he's seen it all, but timing is still timing. You don't take this long off and come back right away and be super sharp. It just doesn't work that way in any sport, and football, and even guys you've worked with. You need some time to get back into it. I think he'll have plenty of time to do that, but I think it does involve getting in that game a little bit. I think that I'd like to see it anyway. He looked great against Miami in the practice. He looked fantastic. So he left knowing that.
But under this theory, if he's not practicing against the Titans and he's not playing in the game, and then he's not playing in the Indianapolis game, he will have not been in live reps, even in a practice against another team, much less a preseason game against another team, going all the way back to the Miami practice on August the 8th, whatever that was, before you play the Cowboys. So it's just food for thought. And you got to get some chemistry going with Hainsey, knowing the line checks, the protection, audibles, whatever they want to do with Brady. Work in progress here on this, but I think there's a lot of optimism off of what we saw. It's early on. Can Hainsey be that guy in the middle of the line? And that's a big variable. That's a big if right now.
And I'll ask you too about the new signing, Carl Nassib, who
yes,
I'm assuming you probably got to know him a little bit for the 2 years that he was here before. So I guess what's your early impression of that signing of him so far?
It's needed because of the injury, obviously, to Cam Gill. And we said this on your show last week when you asked me this, Nick. You said, what about need it? And you thought edge rusher with the salary cap, remember? And I said to you, and I still say this, you cannot have enough of those guys and you cannot have enough defensive backs to cover. It's such a pass-happy league. And this coaching staff knows Carl from the 2019 season. Todd Bowles knows him. Casey Rogers, the defensive line coach that's still here, that was the defensive line coach. They know him. They trust him. And good on him that he gets another opportunity. I mean, we'll put this out there. There had been concern that nobody's going to pick the guy up because he had come out as being gay. And the Buccaneers are saying, forget about the social implications and whatever. We need football. We need pass rusher. We know this guy. We believe he can help us, at least give us some depth. Get a look at him, and good for him. And you always love my stories. JP, you know I'm full of stories. I'm full of crap. I'm full of all of it. I kid you not. So you remember that 2018 season, Dirk Cutter is the coach at that point. The Browns had been the team on Hard Knocks, and Carl Nassib had been featured on Hard Knocks doing like the economic education class with his fellow defensive linemen on how to save your money. Remember all that?
Yes.
All right. Then the Browns, you got to love the Browns. You got to love the Jaguars and all these teams that just do unbelievably stupid things. So they put him, I mean, he was he was a Big Ten player of the year on defense. They put him on waivers, I guess, trying to sneak him through to the practice squad. And the Buccaneers said, thank you very much. That's somebody that can help us. We need defensive help right now. Thank you very much. So they grabbed Carl Nassib off of waivers right at the beginning of the season. So they cut him on the last cut down after the preseason games. I go with the family to have dinner, and I'll even name the place. We go to the Cheesecake Factory at International right by, shall we reveal the secret, where the Buccaneers stayed during training camp, right at the Renaissance Hotel.
Yes.
So we are standing there. We are waiting on our table. And my God, Carl Nassib, who I've been watching on Hard Knocks, is standing right in front of me getting some cheesecake. Free plug. They should sponsor the JP show. They should sponsor FanStream JP because I'm plugging Cheesecake Factory. Nick is wanting some cheesecake right now. Carl Nassib is standing right in front of me waiting on his cheesecake. And I introduce myself. Carl, it's TJ. I do Buccaneers radio. I'm not trying to, have everybody come crowd around you for an autograph. Welcome to Tampa Bay. I look forward to seeing you. He goes, nice to meet you, TJ. I look forward to seeing you. See you later. He's gone with his cheesecake. He left with his cheesecake. So he and I kind of joked about that a couple of times. And he's a good quote. And this will be very interesting as to how much impact he gets to make in these preseason games, because they're gonna utilize him, all things being equal, for this Titans game this week and the Colts game. It's not a guarantee that he makes the team, by the way, either in a numbers game. We'll see. But it's good to have Carl back. How about that? I snuck in a Carl Nassib Cheesecake Factory story on the JP show.
I think you're getting a gift card here pretty soon. All right, my friend, plug what all the stuff you got going on. You got podcasts coming up with the Buccaneers. You got sideline stuff, all that good stuff.
So they can find me at Bucs Sideline Guy on Twitter. We're on the air with Buccaneers Radio Saturday night from Nashville. Find us on 98 Rock and the affiliates and the Buccaneers mobile app. The Nothing But Bucs podcast, people have been asking me about that. That will start after the regular season opening game with the Cowboys. We're back podcasting there. But anything Buccaneers, check us out on Buccaneers Radio, the Buccaneers mobile app. Gene, Dave, and I will have the call of the Titans game, and we suspect the starters will be in there for at least a quarter, if not maybe the first half of this game. So we're interested in Saturday night. We'll be on the air from Nash Vegas Saturday night. Looking forward to that, and always good to be with you guys. Thank you for letting me digress about fantasy football,
stories, baby.
Late 80s Buccaneers in a sports bar in Memphis to try to watch the games. And we even worked it back around to the Cheesecake Factory for lunch.
I think the kids get a real charge out of those stories. They think, what dark age shit is that? That's
well, but it's the truth. It's what we had to do. You could not fathom that we had to wait for a box score the next day in the newspaper to total up our fantasy numbers. It's crazy.
On your bet, yeah. All right, good stuff, TJ. We'll check in with you next week. Have a great trip to Nash Vegas, my friend.
Anytime.
Go to Etsy for barbecue in 12 South Region's great. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Joel Robinson's going to join us, a Rays fan extraordinaire. Had an experience at the game on Friday night that he wanted to share, and I wanted him to share with you. So we'll check in with a real Rays fan when we come back. Stay with us. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by our new sponsor, Emerging Investigations. If you're looking for a professional private investigation team that gets results, Emerging Investigations are the folks for you. Call them for a free consultation, 813-291-FACT, 813-291-FACT. If you're looking to find out if your spouse is cheating or you have a criminal matter or looking for a missing person, anything like that, they can do the very professional investigation and get you trusted, accurate results. That's 813-291-FACT, 813-291-FACT, or go to emerginginv.com. All right, I want to welcome in Rays fan Joel Robinson, who hit me up on Twitter and had an interesting experience at the Rays game on Friday night. Welcome, Joel. How are you?
Hey, GP, thanks for having me on the show today. Love what you guys do.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate you being a fan of the show. We like to bring on fans from time to time. I'll see some stuff on Twitter. You reached out to me, and I appreciate that. And I wanted you to kind of tell your story about what kind of happened Friday night. You went to the Orioles game. First of all, tell me about your ticket situation. How much did your tickets cost? How many people did you go to the game? Tell me about that whole situation.
So I took 4 of my friends to the game. We sat up in the party deck, and our tickets were over $25. Crazy.
So after fees, what was the total price for the 5 tickets?
It's probably close to like $27 a ticket.
Yeah. Okay. For the third deck in the outfield. Okay.
Party deck.
The party deck. So you guys are having a good time, having a few beers up there, right?
Yeah, a couple sodas here and there.
Yeah. So what was the vibe like?
So, yeah, I went to the game Friday night, and I thought there would be a buzz. Like, we all went expecting it was going to be, like, this awesome experience, like a party, Brett Phillips' first game back. But even from before first pitch, there wasn't much going on. Like, the atmosphere was dead. There was probably, like, 70% Orioles fans. And so I'm like, what is going on up here? It's a big series, playoff implications.
Yeah.
You can clinch the tiebreaker here if it's Friday night. Like big night for the game, and there's probably like 10,000 fans, 6,000 more Orioles fans. So the score and the result that didn't help. But I was thinking throughout the game, that couldn't have been the only reason that the score was that bad.
Well, yeah, and the fact that the local fans are kind of priced out when it's the cheapest ticket is $27 just to get in, and then you're buying. The other team's fans are going to buy it because it's probably a one-off for them, and so that's one of the big problems I've had with the Rays management and their tickets pricing this year is they've priced out most of the local fans until they did this $15 sale, which was limited number of tickets for each game, so it wasn't even that many fans getting in. But just in general, so you come away with just a bad feeling, and do you want to go back?
I'm a Rays fan like through and through, so I'll go back. Like it doesn't help by any means what Stu's doing with the team and stuff, like selling a fan favorite like that. And then I'm going just out of like respect for the guy. Like that was the main reason I was there. But they're not making it easy.
You wanted to cheer Brett Phillips.
Yeah, and he pitch hit in the game. I'll take that. Like that. I was like, yeah, he pitch hit.
So what happened after the game? Tell me that story.
So me and my friend were on the way home, and he likes to listen to Neil Solon's post-game show. And I'm like, bro, he has the same thing every night after a loss. Like, it's okay, man. It's a bigger story. Don't worry about the score. we're a small team and all that stuff. But he was like, no, man, we should call in. So he calls about something, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't called in a few years. Like, I'm going to call in. So I asked Neil, I was like, hey, Neil, like, I know the score wasn't good, but from even before first pitch, like, the atmosphere in the stadium was dead. You'd think it's going to be exciting because it's Brett Phillips night, but there's not many Rays fans in there. The house is crowded out with Orioles fans of all people. Like, do you think that part of that's because of the way Stu's been running the team over the years, and especially this year, trading away a guy like Brett Phillips, and then still saying we're in the playoff hunt and not making any major moves at the deadline? Do you think fans are finally getting a little bit frustrated with that, and it's starting to show in the attendance even more? And he blew me off. He said, nah, man, it's none of that. He didn't even talk about Stu Sternberg. That completely was bypassed. And he said the reason that the atmosphere was so dead was because it was 10-3.
Yeah, but like you said, it was that way before the game started and in the beginning of the game. It's interesting. And look, I love Neil. We go back and forth on Twitter all the time, not in a bad way at all. And have had him on my show in years past. Love Neil so lots. And look, he's got to feed his family. He's not going to go off on Stu. He can't go off on Stu. And he's going to defend him. But I like the fact that he just didn't. He kind of blew it off because there's nothing he can really say to that. You know, it's
hard.
Yeah, he knows you're right. He knows you're right, and he knows a lot of fans feel that way, but he can't talk about it. I completely understand that. He's on Rays radio, and he's gonna have to spin it another way. But I think it's great that you brought it up and had the guts and the courage to bring it up on the show. And I wish more people would talk about it because it's not going to change unless the fans get very vocal about removing him as the owner. And there just never has, I think there's certainly a groundswell among fans that want him gone, but I don't think it ever makes it into the public media because the Times isn't going to do anything on it. They treat him like he's this, great benefactor and great owner, which I think is just ridiculous. But you don't hear a lot of negativity about him in the local media, which I think is just bananas. I think we're the only one that really talks about it. What is your sense among fans that you talk to about Stu?
Me and my friends, we love your show, but outside of your show, like, I never hear any negativity about Stu Sternberg. Like, everybody says, oh, we love what Stu's doing. We have our own version of Moneyball going on here. So then you see all these things he does. He trades players for sometimes no benefit in the long term or the short term, and we're expected to be okay with it. And it doesn't make sense. And then you hear all these reports that he's got this money in account over here, and then you're like not competitive as you were at one time. Like, I've been able to forgive it over the years, but in the last couple of years, like since we've been to the World Series, I've expected him to build on the success, but he trades away your two best pitchers after Game 6 of the World Series, and then tries to say that we're still being competitive. It makes no sense as a fan.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans are frustrated, but it just, for whatever reason, it just doesn't resonate in the local media. But listen, Joel, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate your fandom. Thanks for listening to the show. Spread the word that we're keeping it real here on this particular show. And we'll be the voice for the fan when we can. So thanks for your time, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I miss your days of the post game show. You got to get back on those.
That was fun.
Those were some good post games.
Yeah. It's
right.
there's a reason there's a reason I don't do that anymore. And his name is Stu Sternberg. Because I was working. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. I was working for 620 at the time, doing the pre and post games. Some late nights too. I'll tell you what. For like $15 an hour wasn't my favorite part of my career, but I liked it. It was fun talking baseball. But if you're working over there, you gotta be a shill for the owner. You can't speak poorly about the owner or any of those type of decisions. That's just the way it is. Or he's on the phone to John Momola saying, "Yeah, we don't want to hear that." It's the way it works.
Yeah, I did want to shout out somebody though.
Go ahead, shout him out.
Another listener who chimed in on Twitter here. He said that it's his birthday today, and he would appreciate a birthday shout out.
Sure.
So,
what's his name?
So happy birthday, Tommy Leveroni. He's a loyal listener to the show.
Happy birthday to you, Tommy Leveroni. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Happy birthday to you. There you go. You even got a song there, Tommy. So happy birthday, buddy. Appreciate it. Now, a good time to really thank the folks here. We moved into our new studio here at Red House Streaming CP Communications. We got a lot of big things coming up, hopefully in the months to come. It's one of the reasons we're here. We're working on some new partnerships. So we're only getting bigger. We're growing, and we really and it's because of you guys, the fans. The numbers are going up. We really appreciate it, but we need you to keep spreading the word because we're the only anti-corporate media here in the marketplace. We're the only independent voice. So we're going to be able to say things that other people can't say. And it doesn't make. I'm not saying the guys over at 620 are bad guys. They got to feed their family. I get it. Everybody, there's certain things certain people play it a certain way to keep their job. And I get it. I'm totally down with that. Well, we just do it a different way here. And we hope you guys spread the word and you enjoy the show. All right. Our thanks to TJ Rives and Corey Long, who joined us, and Joel Robinson, our Rays fan. By the way, hit me up on Twitter. If you've got an interesting story or you want to come on the show and you want to talk about something, hit me up on Twitter, DM me, and we'll get you on the show. We love having you guys on the show. The fans. I know we don't take calls anymore, so that's a good way for us to interact with you on the show. And you can always interact with us on YouTube and on Facebook, and you can leave comments there at FanstreamJP, at Nick Geddes News, at the JP Peterson Show. Hit us up on social media with your comments, questions, whatever, and we'll get it into the show. All right, go Rays against the Yankees tonight. What do we got? Nestor Cortez against Jeffrey Springs. So go Rays. We'll talk to you tomorrow.